Guys, pay attention.
I am awake.
Okay, he wasn't. All right. All right. Welcome to Story Ideas on the Fly, where we pick an idea out of a hat and develop it. Okay. Two rival sports teams where the rivalry gets out of hand.
Rivalry gets out of hand.
So are we talking the rivalry gets out of hand like they started competing way too hard, or the rivalry gets out of hands like a full-blown war started over this?
This is probably high school age, so
It could
let's
be
not
high
make it an
school.
actual
Actually,
bloodbath.
The first time to be something like NBA.
Okay, the first thing I thought about was my high school, who had really bad sports teams, but they did have the chance. You think you bad, you think you hot, gonna break your legs in the parking lot. So you could get that kind. They would have with our rival school. They actually had a lot of police around.
I wonder why. No.
Yeah. So anyway, there were
Okay.
so it could be a high school. That was the first thing I thought about when I read
Yeah.
this. But you could also like set it sci-fi and make up some sports where the stakes are actually
Really
it is
high.
the sport
And
is
then,
dangerous.
and then
Make
before
up
you know
your
it,
own
it starts turning into an actual bloodbath.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
maybe not literal.
It could. It could
could.
turn into
Well,
something.
what
where-
I think what this really is saying is you have two sports teams that get so competitive that they start breaking your legs in the parking lot type thing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Not
But there
necessarily
are a lot of
figure.
other routes we could
With
go.
sci-fi, have the sport be created to create feelings of goodwill between the two. Maybe it's even to help prevent a war. They're like, oh, things are getting tense between our planets, so let's come up with this cool competition that's
Interplanetary Olympics.
yes.
Now, what would be fun with that is if you had it between two different races, and the two different races were designing them based off of what their race would enjoy, the different parts of it, of what they'd enjoy. But the
Yeah.
thing is, well, several races I've made don't have a concept of self-preservation.
Well, you could also and they could have different cultures, so some of them could be going, hey, well, you've disgraced me now, and now we must feud until one of us dies, or there could be some very interesting cultural
Yeah, stuff where
tensions
one
between
race is
them.
one race is going, think, oh yeah, this is completely normal, it's fun, and to the other race is the worst thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, and you could have
or they just take the competition very seriously, and they're like,
Yeah,
oh
you
no,
could-
we
Good
must
point.
be.
you could have a barbarian type of people where you fight to the death, and fights are to
Yeah.
the death, sports are to the death. You gotta stop.
If you lose, you've
I know
disgraced
I wrote
yourself.
one where it's like, no, you can't kill people in the competition. Why not? I know I've
About
written
the
about.
snow goblins.
I've
No,
done.
I think it was. She's talking about gatekeepers.
Yes.
Yeah, gatekeeper.
Gatekeepers, that was way earlier, but snow goblins kind of that. After
Yeah.
all, they never hurt anyone. They're pacifists, right? Okay, you'll get the joke if you read the book.
Okay.
Okay,
That kind of pacifist.
yeah, they enforce their pacifism to keep everyone,
All right.
peaceful. Okay, so you could have,
could
you
go
could
some
go
very
with some
interesting
very
routes with that.
cultural things and end up in the thing that is meant to keep the planets from
peace.
going to war kind of
Starting a war.
starting a war. That could
I mean,
be
in fairness,
interesting.
if that was the case, they were probably already on the
Yes, path to war.
path to war. So this may have delayed war, but
Right.
then we have to, if that's what the story's about, then we have to actually find a way to fix the war and
Right.
solve the differences and
Or
stop
you
people
could
killing
stop
each
it
other.
before it goes to war.
Yeah.
But okay, so do we want to go with the sci-fi, create our own sport, get the different races involved, have the intrigues between the
Sci-fi
planets?
Olympics.
That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah,
if
that
I think it
sounds
sounds like fun.
that kind of sound. I'm
That
much
sounds
more
like
into
more fun
that.
to write right now.
I'm much more into that than I am teenage drama in a high school.
That's fair.
Personally, it's like you
Mhm.
want teenage drama, and I have written the teenage books
Yeah.
before, and I have fun doing that.
I
But
think
you
it'll make
want
it really
the teenage
fun.
drama. Heck, you got that in real life. So I kind of like this
a lot of
sci-fi
fun with
thing.
it, but yeah, let's do the sci-fi. I think the
So-
sci-fi is.
So
Go
what?
sci-fi.
Okay, you're big on building races. What kind of races would you give us?
Well, that depends. What style of race building are we using? Are we using the human plus method, the speculative method, or the forget the rulebook method?
Let's go with
Yes.
human plus.
Yeah,
Okay, human plus. So if that's the case, basically that would all be about we come up with a race that is basically we take humans, we give them some kind of superpower or disadvantage or something like that, change a couple of characteristics, and we're good.
That's right. I now
All
have
right.
pointed ears.
Yeah, I have pointed ears. I'm very fast, but you could probably snap my my arm if you punched me hard enough, kind of thing.
All right.
That would be a human plus method.
No, wait, I got it. We'll give him pointed ears, we'll make them highly logical, and then
We'll have their
My
eyebrows like
emotions.
this.
and then we'll raise
have
their
them go
eyebrows
really
really high.
All right. Okay. So what kind of game might we come up with? What way to come up
Are
with a
we going
sport?
to have it so that each member comes up with different rules of the game? Because if you do that, you could have a very eclectic game.
I think you do end up
For
with a rather
example,
eclectic game
What if
because
one of the
you-
races was much shorter than humans, like these small little fragile things, but they replicated like rabbits, and so their kind naturally doesn't really care about if one of their friends dies because oh, that's sad. Okay, anyway, so they're going, yeah, then we have this section where you have to get through this obstacle course has a bunch of hungry sharks in the bottom.
Yeah, no, you. I think you have. I think this would be a very eclectic sport where after you've run the ball down to the end zone, you have to run an obstacle course to to score the point, or you have to.
The extra point is an obstacle course over a lava pit.
But then we have to have something for the water-based creatures. So they have to like swim under.
The middle part of the whole thing,
the
the
field is
field
all
is
water.
all water, and then you also
one of
have
the
these
goals
monkey
is
bars that you have to
water.
climb through if you're going to move through this section, because otherwise you're just gonna fall into the spike trap.
Actually, creating games, can be kind of fun. I mean, I've done that before. Olead and various things. They can be kind of fun to come up with rules. So be creative when
Oh, yeah.
creating a game. And you don't have to hold yourself to anything that we know as a
Mhm.
sport. You can.
Yeah. But just remember that every nation or every planet or every people would give their people the advantage.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
whatever
And
you do.
think about what you got with your races. I know the first time I ever made up a game with a book was my very first book, and
The Arambians?
yeah, an Oleat, and they're very dexterous, so
The
they'll have
Arambians
jugglers.
think basically humans, but faster, stronger, or more durable. And when I say more dexterous, I mean the same level of dexterity between a monkey and a slug.
So
More or less.
Yeah,
They're the
so-
monkey, we're the slugs.
So yeah, but the thing is, so I got to have fun using I've got jugglers who have to do these things without getting their balls stolen, and there's obstacle courses, and
Yeah.
I think, and it's just fun. But use whatever you make as the races, what their abilities are. Start thinking of them, and it'll help you come up with ideas
Yeah.
for what can we
Yeah.
do for the game. And Harry Potter, they all have flying brooms. Well, it kind of lends itself to a
Yeah.
game if you got a flying broom.
Yeah.
I still personally
Well-
have the question of why didn't they use a clock though, but
the snitch is dumb, but the rest pretty much makes sense.
Knocking any other authors'
Don't
books.
knock other books.
What
Yeah.
is an interesting game, except they just randomly
They
decided.
just need a time limit. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they just randomly
Alright.
decided we need something for Harry to do that makes him better than everyone else.
Yeah. Okay,
There
so
you go.
let's so we've got some kind of sport. We've got various races from different planets trying to come together to make this. Who's our hero?
Well,
Probably one of the competitors.
Yeah. Or maybe not the hero, maybe a heroine, but you've got someone who's organizing this Olympics too, right?
Mm-hmm.
probably.
That might be a good place to put a love interest in because girls can make very good managers without having to, necessarily fight to the death. But But you could do that with a boy too. But you would have someone managing this where they've got to, have all these pit traps and water pools and all this stuff going on, and then every other game somebody's complaining that this person has to deal with, and
Okay, we got to get the two rival teams though, and I think our
Okay.
main hero needs to be on the team.
okay.
And I like the girl. We get good love story here, but we need the two rival teams because that was in the prompt.
Yes.
Two rival teams get out of hand. So why are they going to get out of hand? What are they going to do? And who are these teams?
Well, one question is, do we want one of the two teams that's actually having these massive problems to be humans? Do we want one of them to be humans, or do we want it to be that humans are actually getting along
Or
with most of the
mixed
other
race.
Everything's
teams?
humans
but
plus.
That
the
could
others.
be mixed race teams. They don't have to
Okay,
be.
Okay, that is
Okay.
okay.
In fact, that would probably be to your advantage to have someone who can fly and someone who can, do well in water and someone, would be
Yeah,
a
having
mixed race
team.
would be to your advantage in this.
That
if you're
is
gonna do
true.
that. Okay, so you've got the mixed races, but you've
Mhm.
got I tend to like to write humans or races that are at least humanoid because they're a little easier to relate with. I really don't really know what it's like to be an eight-armed squid.
Where the pellet, where the
eight-armed squids. No.
So what was it? I mean,
that
she's so
giant-
beautiful. She has such smooth tentacles. So, quote from a
No,
book.
I'm more likely to do aliens like. Oh, you can't see it in the image.
Oh,
But it doesn't have 8 arms. It has 2 arms and 4 legs and a
Alright.
4-hinging jaw.
Point being,
And its eyes are on stalks. And its
Okay.
ears are on its chest.
it's best to do it. Let's try to
Okay,
keep
so
them
let's
mostly
get this
human.
because guys, we're running a little.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
11 minutes already. Let's go figure out what who's our hero. And really, the conflict is they're trying to prevent a war by doing this. Who is
Okay.
the big bads? We need a hero. We need
Well,
villains.
Could your two rival teams be kind of different ideologies where maybe one is a more, knightly samurai, whatever, we have a code of honor and we're very, you must follow the rules of engagement at all times and behave a certain way or else you disgrace yourself, and then have the other team be more of anything goes. If you win, you've won.
I think our big bad wants the war.
Oh, definitely.
He's one of the big ups on the planet. He wants the war. He's seeing, okay, this is to keep us from war. How can I cause these
Could
problems?
he be
How
a
can I?
military contractor or
He
something?
could be military
That could be
contractor.
fun.
He could be high up in the government. He could be
Or
you know,
more than, or all of the above. He
Right.
could do more than one of those, but
Right.
yes.
So, oh no, government plots. That's just so unbelievable, right? And just because they've been going on for thousands of years,
Pretty
right?
much as long as there's been governments.
Okay, I like this whole story, but there's actually one thing that I think it needs.
What's that?
I think the games themselves need to have higher stakes.
Okay.
Because right now all these games are just for fun and to kind of create peace. It's like, oh yeah, let's have some fun with this type thing. But that doesn't really give a good intense story, and so you don't have time. And since this is about some kind of sport, what you really want is you don't want to have a lot of fight scenes where people are brawling in the streets. I mean, obviously you can, and you probably will, but a lot of the big action scenes will come from these sports games where it's like, okay, will they win? And if it has 0 stakes, if it's just as long as the game gets played to completion, then everything's fine, then you don't have any stakes for those games.
Well, you could do it a little more. Okay, you know how in Feyborn we have the war is, and
Yeah.
that, by the way, is a dystopia that is not post-apocalyptic, because you were saying the other day I tend to do post-apocalyptic.
Definitely fantasy.
Yeah, definitely fantasy dystopia. So, but you know how they come together and they say, okay, we are going to have our battles in the arena. Read the book; it'll make sense. And and there are very high stakes. People's lives are on the
Yes.
line. Things like this.
That's what I'm saying.
So
We need
you
something
could-
like
you
that.
need- right. So
Could
you
you
could
have-
have something where, okay, we are looking at these games as kind of a replacement for war. That would be a way to go with that. You could also look
Okay.
and say, okay, in the lieu of we're going to make demands in these games. This is what we would want to get out of the war. And so we're
So
going to
political negotiation.
But instead of having war teams or
One
something, have
option
sports
actually.
teams. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Heather. Go.
Sorry, an interesting thing you might be able to do is have kind of a jackpot of sorts where every country who wants to compete or every team who competes brings like a nice spaceship or special new technology, or where they're expected to present a gift for the victor, and then the winning team gets all the gifts from all the planets.
Or the losing team has to destroy some military weapon or something like that.
Okay.
Those are possible.
Another option you could have, if you want to up the stakes even more, is you could have something where this game is less about political intrigue in this case, but you could have it be where you basically take prison inmates to make the teams, especially if it's a super dangerous game, and have it be these people have been convicted for something, even if it's false or something, but
several of them possibly crimes that are likely punishable by death.
And so it's like, hey, you can go free if you and your team can beat enough other teams, type thing. Otherwise,
that's an interesting concept.
Because then that would actually get some pretty high stakes, and then you're getting into a little bit of dystopia. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming here what the actual
I
game
can
is.
really see some dystopia, sci-fi dystopia here. Yes.
There's a lot of different directions
really like
you
that
could
idea.
take this, but it would
because we go with that. Then the games themselves are still made to be fun games to help bring societies together.
It's just a game.
But to the characters, these are life and death. In more ways than one, because if we don't do enough of these, we're sentenced to death. If we play the game wrong, we could die.
Yeah.
We need to win these games.
And then if you feel like somebody else is, these two teams where, one's going, hey, these other guys are kind of cheating, because that would be a thing to do.
Yeah, and so
they're going to say, okay, well, let's go try to knock that guy off before the next game. You can get into some.
Yeah, and so you would get a lot of back alley cheating, and let's break this guy's legs so that he can't beat us.
Can't compete.
Okay, well, we have given a lot of ideas, and obviously we'll probably talk about this for the next hour, but
I want to hear your ideas. What do you think?
Right, put your ideas in the comments, and make sure you give us more ideas for our hat. We love to pull out random things and see what y'all can come up with. So we'll see you next time.